And that is that. The transfer window has closed for another summer, and in typical fashion under this new ownership, we've signed a ton of players and we've sold even more. This summer, we brought in 12 new additions to the squad. They include 4 players who were loaned out immediately to their parent clubs and to Strasbourg, with 8 signings joining the first team. They included free transfers, loan signings and permanent deals. 261 million euros was spent on total signings, and their market value is around 396 million euros. Pedro Neto was the record buy this summer at 60 million euros. And to move on to exits, 23 players left during this summer. 4 left on free transfers, 11 left on loan deals, 6 left on permanent moves, bringing in around 175 million euros. But more money was made from loan fees, but those fees are undisclosed at this point in time. Our record sale this summer was Ian Martin, bringing in around 44.5 million euros. Now, from the fan base's perspective, this window in particular, this summer, this was seen as the window to complete the squad rebuilding that we first saw happen around 24 months ago. Now, after 12 players have signed and joined us, have we necessarily signed all the key players to complete the squads? Well, yes and no. We did sign more attackers. We did sign a defender, a goalkeeper, but we were unable to sign the big money striker that was the main ambition for the directors and the manager too. That was to get rid of players out of the squad who had no long-term futures at the football club. Did we complete this? Well, we did to an extent, but we missed the ball. We still have exile players within the squad, and they include Ben Chilwell, Dacho Fofana, Chukwuemeka, David Washington, Alex Matos, Kasade, Angelo, Harvey Vale, Taronian, and a few other academy grads. And they're still here due to a combination of time running out for deals and not getting the right satisfactory offers which the club would have accepted for their exits. So we still have a ton more work to do in future windows, but on top of that, we were unable to bring in permanent fees for Broja, Jalaba, Sterling, Chilwell, and big first-team players that the club are still paying for as they only have loans or are still here. So yet again, this window was a mixture of positives and negatives, but it still feels like we are one more window away from completely finalizing the squad and making everything perfect. I now want to focus on the business we've done, and I want to grade each signing that we brought in this summer. Pedro Neto was easily the statement signing of this window. We signed him for around 60 million euros. But most importantly, we kept this deal under wraps, so we did not alert any competition, and by doing so, we kept the values of this transfer at respectable levels. Pedro Neto last season got 12 goal contributions in 20 games. That was 9 assists and 3 goals. And as the player himself has said, he feels like he is currently in peak physical form as a football player. And to sign someone who's about to peak now, I think that's a big positive to add someone like this to our squad. He brings a new dimension, and already we're seeing his dynamism down either flank. He's a top-class assist creator, as we saw last season. He's a two-way threat. He's a consistent performer, and already, since signing him, he's recorded his first assist, setting up Joao Felix in the most perfect fashion. In terms of value for money, I think this is a fair price for a player who's one of the top wingers in the Premier League. Maresca has been calling out for quality from his players in the squad right now, and I do think that Pedro Neto is the definition of a quality signing. I'm going to be grading him an A-. Our second biggest buy this summer, and the most surprising buy this summer, was the signing of Joao Felix for a permanent fee of 52 million euros. Now, Joao Felix definitely brings something that we don't have in this team: imagination, excitement. But he joins a team that already has Cole Palmer, Nkunku, Mudryk, Madueke, Neto, plus midfield players that can play in advanced positions. We still have to see his long-term impact with the squad for this season, but now that we haven't signed a striker, maybe Nkunku plays as the second default striker this season, which frees up another attacking mid-position. This is set to be a massive season for Joao Felix personally. He's kind of been temperamental throughout his career. He's lacked consistency behind his game. He must feel in peak confidence to really showcase the best of his talents. But as he's getting older now is the make or break time for him to showcase, is he set to be a world-class player, or just a decent player. It's a nice sign of things to come that immediately on his debut, he's recorded a goal already, but we still have to look at his long-term value in my opinion, because there's also a thought about whether he was the essential signing that was really needed, considering the depth of attacking talent we already have, and considering that we could have invested that money into signing a top goalkeeper or a top striker. Was he a priority or was he an opportunity? We'll find out. But I'm going to grade João Félix's signing a B. Let's now move on to our deadline day signing last night in Jadon Sancho, who signs for us on loan, and we're set to sign him on a permanent deal for between 20 to 25 million due to obligations to buy. Now, again, like João Félix, we've signed another player who still has a lot to prove in his career. We've signed another player where we're hoping with our environment, our coaching, and the players around him can bring back the world-class talents and potentials they once showcased. With Raheem Sterling leaving us on loan, it's quite clear that Maresca told the club, if you want Sterling out, you need to bring me a replacement because I can't fully rely upon Mudryk as my main winger this season. Sancho does offer qualities down the right flank, down the left, in the middle. He will be used more down the left flank this season. He's showcased some top class qualities with his close control and his carrying ability, as well as his ability to play make in between the lines too. Is he necessarily the winger that's gonna kickstart counter-attacks with his sheer pace? No, because he isn't that style of winger. So it's interesting that we've targeted his profile instead of going for another out-and-out winger that has the physicality to match in the wide areas. So again, let's see how he performs. There's still question marks around him. If he was signed on loan without an obligation to buy, I'd rank this higher. But because we're set to sign him on a permanent at the end of his loan spell, I'm going to be grading this move a B-. Moving on to Dewsbury-Hall, and he was the third biggest signing this summer. The club decided that Dewsbury-Hall may be the right signing for Maresca's squad, even though Maresca didn't actually call for the club to bring in Dewsbury-Hall. He had a great individual season last season under Maresca at Leicester City, but so far since signing for us, outside of some promising individual moments in games, we haven't seen the consistency, and we're still waiting for the ball to drop around his performances on the field, but most importantly, the needs and use of the player in the squad. Now that we've signed more players that can play in his advanced 8 position, Dewsbury-Hall may find game time harder to find this season outside of injuries working in his favour, or if the player can dramatically uplift his form right now. You could argue that we had better players that we've allowed to leave on loan or sold that would have added to the squad even more. He is a solid addition. He is a technical player, but is he a necessary signing? So I'm going to be grading this business a C-. Jorgensen was the goalkeeper that the club decided to sign, as we did know that they did prioritize signing a goalkeeper. Now the fan base thought that we'd be signing a keeper that would demote Robert Sanchez to being number 2. But instead we've gone for yet again another inexperienced but high potential goalkeeper to act as the competition figure for Sanchez. Maresca has already said that Sanchez is his number 1 and Jorgensen is set to be the cup goalkeeper. However, left the door open that if Jorgensen does improve himself, he could become our number 1. Now he did get the man of the match award against Servette. That's a promising sign, but we haven't seen his qualities with his distribution on the ball, as he was signed due to his sweeper keeper abilities, hence why Petrovic has been given up on. I do think that in the long run, in the next 1 to 2 years, Jorgensen could make sense. As the season develops, we may see more of his qualities. But I think the pressing need for the team was to really sign a genuine world-class goalkeeper, which we did not do. So for that reason, I'm grading Jorgensen a C+. Kellyman was another surprise signing that we made and another attacking addition to the team. He was signed for around £19 million, and he was quite clearly signed for PSR reasons, because many clubs who are in breach of PSR rules and restrictions did business with each other to make sure they were safeguarded. And it did mean that a lot of academy guys were being sold for over-inflated values. Now already, there seems to be no need for him because we've signed 3 players in his position. It seems like he's set to be the David Washington of this season. He has talents, but I'd be very surprised if he gets much senior minutes this season. And to think that this money was invested in someone that might not be playing, I don't think it's great business. So I'm scoring this deal a D. Renato Veiga was another big surprise who came from nowhere. But is he starting to show that he's a bit of a positive surprise? Since signing from Basel, his career has accelerated, and in the meantime, he has been called up to the Portuguese national team squad for the World Cup qualifiers. He was clearly signed because he is a long-term project. He was signed to play the inverted midfield role, hence why we ended interest in Calafiori to target a cheaper alternative we think we can build and grow. And if you look at his individual aspects and attributes, there's a lot to his game that really excites you. Strength, aggression, mentality, good on the ball, fast, very well-rounded, but equally, he's still showing in his game since playing for us that he is still quite raw, and he definitely needs a lot of time. So this season will be a massive educational year for him, but in the long term, this deal could prove to be a masterstroke as he adds quality to the squad. But with inverted fullbacks being so key in the system, could we have not signed an upgrade player like Murillo or Calafiori that could have really pushed the ideas Maresca wants to build even more? Who knows? But I do think Veiga has decent potential, and I'm going to be scoring this deal a B-. Marc Guiu was the surprise signing from Barcelona. Young, promising forward known for his work rate, a classic number 9, runs the channels. He showed in pre-season that he looked quite promising. He had the right attitude to play for us, and there was big hope and belief that we pulled off a masterstroke and he could be our number 2. Since the season started, it's quite clear that he's still very raw. His games against Servette, even though he worked hard and showed decent flashes of quality at times, also showed his youthful inexperience. And it's quite clear that he isn't ready to be the number 2 right now, considering is he a better player compared to Renato Fofana or Armando Broja? Probably not. But in the long term, he could be a very interesting player for us, so the deal to sign him wasn't bad in my opinion, and for that reason, I'm going to be grading him a C+. And for the final first team signing, Adarabioyo, I'm probably getting this guy's name wrong yet again, but he was signed on a free, and he was clearly intended to be a Jalaba-like replacement for free, so we could actually profit off the actual Jalaba. Of course, that wasn't to be the case. Jalaba's only gone out on loan to Crystal Palace, and the argument is, have we replaced him with a better player who's more suited to Enzo Maresca? And I'd have to say, probably not. Now, Tosin brings composure, good on the ball, plays nice passes, strong aerially, he can defend, but the question marks fall around his positional sense, his consistency, and his authority defensively too. And so far, we haven't seen too many strong signs throughout pre-season or the start of the season that he is bringing that authority in defense. Being a free helps us in the long-term future, especially if Anselmino gets introduced to the first team. But equally, you want to have a strong squad, and is someone like him better than other defensive players that left this summer? I'd probably say no. So I'm grading Adarabioyo a C. To end things very quickly, I'm gonna grade the business we've done for the youth signings we've made. Anselmino, Mike Penders, Esteval Willian, Caleb Wiley. I think we've done exceptional business to bring in players who I really feel definitely have first team quality potential, where they won't have to wait 4-5 years to get an opportunity. I think they'll be introduced and fast-tracked very, very early. Anselmino looks like a star centre-back in the making. Esteval Willian's already been called up to the Brazil national team squad and is setting the Brazilian league on fire right now. Caleb Wiley has a ton of pro experience as a teenager and is set to have a big impact for Strasbourg this season. Mike Penders looks like an absolute cheat code for a goalkeeper, already 6'7", very strong at playing out from the back, very good with the ball at his feet, strong aerially, and he actually looks like he could be one of the next great goalkeepers of his generation. So I think in terms of all the business we have secured for these top young stars, I'm going to be grading this an A-. And to end things, I'll be ranking our sale activity. Now, we had many players that had to leave the squad this summer, either on loan or on permanent moves, because we were absolutely bloated, and that was one of the big talking points as the window was coming to an end. We've done some good things and some bad things. We've done well to get rid of some of the high earning players off the wage bill. You're looking at players like Sterling, Lukaku, etc, etc. However, we weren't able to get the maximum money for them. Lukaku was sold for under his release clause value. Raheem Sterling has only gone out on loan, no permanent deals to buy him at the end of that, and we're paying for half of his wages to go and strengthen Arsenal. Outside of that, did we receive the top money we wanted for Conor Gallagher? No, we didn't. We did well to get big money for Ian Maatsen. I think we could have got more money for Omari Hutchinson, considering other players who did less than him last season went for bigger fees from other big clubs. And also, I question some of the decision making when it comes to allowing certain young players to leave out on loan. You look at us current midfield right now. Lavia is still trying to find his peak physicality. He's not there just yet. Him and Caicedo are our only defensive options, and you just think to yourself, if the squad was addressed a bit differently, introducing Andre Santos or Ugo Chukwu to be in the squad could have been big for us as the season was going on. Hopefully we don't get caught out for this. And of course, we weren't able to sell a lot of players that we exiled. Chukwuemeka, Angelo, David Washington, Ben Chilwell, many others. They are still here, and that is set to be a headache for us because there's no way they'll be exiled throughout the entirety of this season. So based on everything that's went down, I feel like we've paid the price for, again, having too much to do in terms of sales. And this is the issue of having such a bloated squad, because it becomes a bit impossible to then do everything all at once in the space of 2-3 months. So I'm going to be grading our sell activity a C-. My friends, that is my review of our transfer window in the 24-25 summer. So I hope you guys enjoy the video. Share your thoughts and opinions. Do you agree? Do you not? Give us your grades. What's the best deals or things that you've seen us do this summer? We all want to know. My friends, on that note, I am Nini FC. This is Blue Lions TV. See you all soon. Cool.